Chapter 3. The Wave of Success. The antipode of a pendulum. So are there any pendulums that can be considered constructive? The answer is no. More accurately, a pendulum can be constructive only to itself, never to you, because the only goal of any pendulum is to get energy from its adherents. If it can't get any energy, it will stop. Let's look at a simple example. It's hard to imagine that a beach volleyball club could ruin your life. However, the pendulum of the volleyball club is also feeding on energy from its adherents, and if they get bored with beach volleyball, the club will die. But this is nothing compared to being a gang member where your freedom or even your life can be taken away. You might think, if I go to a fitness club where I am focusing only on myself, how am I giving away energy to the pendulum? It doesn't matter if you are focused just on yourself or not. You are still required to follow certain rules in the club. You can do whatever you want at home, but at the fitness club, all members act the same way by following the rules established by that system, and thus they collectively give energy to the pendulum. If all members of the club run away, the pendulum no longer receives any energy and it stops. You might also be thinking, are there any energy structures that don't need my energy? Actually, there are. One of them is the wave of success, or a coincidence that is fortunate for you personally. Each person has his own waves of success. It is often the case that you have a little luck, and then comes an entire wave of other pleasant and unexpected events. As if you're having a run of good luck in your life. Waves such as this don't appear every day. Only if you were pleasantly surprised and got into a good mood the first time. The Wheel of Fortune and the Bluebird of Happiness are not just abstract metaphors. A wave of success is basically an accumulation of life tracks. Everything can be found in the space of variations, including these veins of gold. If you found the outer line of such a gold vein and caught some luck, you can automatically glide onto other lines of accumulated fortune, where new lucky circumstances await you. But if, after your first success, bad luck rears its ugly head again, it means a destructive pendulum has led you away from the gold vein. A wave of success brings happiness without taking your energy. It can be compared to an ocean wave that carries an exhausted swimmer to shore. A wave of success transfers you to your happy life tracks. The wave, just like a pendulum, doesn't care about your fate, but it doesn't need your energy either. If you want to, get on the wave and swim with it. If you don't want to, the wave will pass you by without feeling sorry for you. A wave of success is a temporary structure because it doesn't feed on the energy of others. Therefore, it eventually fades out like ocean waves that crash on shore. A wave of success can appear, for example, in the form of good news. It carries information from other life tracks. These echoes are interpreted on the current life track as good news. Your task is to grab on to this fine thread and pull yourself up to the life track where the good news came from. That life track will now not only have good news for you, but fortunate circumstances as well. It may seem that the wave of success comes and goes. In fact, this wave doesn't move at all. It doesn't gather any energy, and it doesn't get weaker. The term wave just makes it easier to understand. But the wave of success is static in the space of variations, as an accumulation of favorable tracks. You are the one moving from one life track to another. So to you, this vein appears as a wave because you grab it by letting it into your life, or you move farther from it, carried away by pendulums. Because the wave is not interested in you personally, you can easily miss it, in which case it will pass you by and not come back. This has given rise to the belief that the bluebird of happiness is difficult to catch. In reality, you don't have to make any effort to surf this wave. It's only a matter of choice. If you welcome the wave into your life, it will be with you. If you give in to the influence of destructive pendulums and get imbued with their negative energy, you move away from the wave of success. The boomerang. Most people have thoughts running around constantly in their head. And if the thinking process is not controlled, negative thoughts and worries prevail. The things we are most worried about are the things that we fear. Things we find irritating or upsetting, and things that make us feel depressed or dissatisfied. This is how destructive pendulums have been influencing the shape of the human psyche over thousands of years. These pendulums maintain fear in man to successfully manipulate him. This is why people are vaguely aware of what they want, yet know exactly what they do not want. When you allow the negative thought mixer to take over, that is, when you are mulling over everything that is bad, complaining, and having pessimistic thoughts, you unwittingly join the game of a destructive pendulum and radiate energy at its frequency. It is a terrible habit, and you would do well to replace it with the habit of having conscious control of your thoughts. Whenever your mind is not occupied with anything in particular, for example, when you were on a train or a bus, or when you were out taking a walk, or doing something that doesn't require special concentration or attention, put positive thoughts in your head. Don't think about what you were not able to get. Think about what you want to get, and you will get it. Suppose you don't like the house you live in. You keep telling yourself, "I'm fed up with this place. Everything about this place irritates me. But once I move to a new home, then I'll be happy. Meanwhile, I just can't help myself. Oh, how I hate this place." With thoughts like this, it's impossible to get what you want. Even if you were about to move to a new and better place, your new house will bring you many disappointments. Fair enough, you say, but I'm leaving this dump and moving to a luxurious villa. What disappointments could be waiting for me there? You don't have to worry about that. The more contempt you feel towards the house that has given you shelter these many years, the more unpleasant surprises will await you in your new quarters. And those unpleasant surprises will be of the most varied kind. The taps won't work. The paint will start to peel. Walls will start caving in. The neighbors will annoy you. In short, everything will happen that needs to happen to maintain the parameters of your negative radiation. There will always be life tracks that contain all possible conveniences, but where you will be just as dissatisfied as before. The space of variations has many luxurious houses where you nonetheless feel like you are in hell. And if you don't have anywhere to move yet, you will remain in this hated situation for sure. After all, you're not tuned to the frequency of the life track where the house of your dreams awaits you. At the moment, you're thinking about what you don't like, so you're giving off negative energy, and this energy fits perfectly with the life track you are on now, and you're stuck there until the frequency of your radiations changes. To change them, you first have to accept your present situation as it is and get rid of your dissatisfaction and resentment. You can always find something good in any situation. Even the smallest things in life can be a source of joy. If you don't like the house you're living in, you can at least be grateful to it. After all, it has sheltered you. It is rainy and windy outside, and the house is keeping you safe and warm. Doesn't this deserve some kind of recognition? If you are grateful for what you have now, if you experience love towards all those things surrounding you, the things that make your life easier, you will give off positive energy. Then, if you want to, you can count on an improvement in your living conditions. And when you are moving away, be sure to thank everything that surrounded you in your old house. Even things that you throw away deserve your gratitude. In these moments, you are transmitting positive vibrations to the surrounding world, and these vibrations will definitely come back to you. You also need to start thinking about the house that you would like to have. This is more difficult than being irritated with things around you, but it's also more useful. Look at real estate advertisements that feature photographs and prospects of potential homes. Visit interior design stores and look for furniture that you would like to have in your house. In other words, let all your thoughts be preoccupied with what you wish to have. We always possess things and encounter situations that have a powerful grip on our thoughts. Our thoughts always return to us like a boomerang. There are so many examples that illustrate how a negative attitude can ruin your life. Let's say you were planning a vacation in a warm country, but where you live now, the weather is terrible. You're walking the streets, the cold wind is making you shiver, and the rain is soaking your clothes. It is, of course, hard to be overly joyous in such weather, so at least try to be neutral, ignoring this destructive pendulum. If you are actively expressing your dissatisfaction with the weather, then you are accepting the pendulum and causing it to swing higher. You are telling yourself, well, soon I'll be going to a warm country and I'll be so happy in the sun and in the warm sea. But as for now, damn this swamp. With such an attitude, you're not tuned to the life track where heavenly relaxation is waiting for you. You won't get there. You already have your plane ticket, you say? Well, so what? You'll get to your destination, but either bad weather or some other misfortune will be waiting for you. On the other hand, everything will be great if you can tune in to a positive frequency. It is obviously not enough to prevent negative energy from getting to you. You need to avoid radiating such energy. For example, you are very annoyed and yell at someone. You can be sure that as a result, some sort of problem will follow. In the present situation, the parameters of your radiation match the life track where you were annoyed, and that's exactly where you will be transported to. On these tracks, the density of unpleasant situations is higher than normal. Don't try to calm yourself with the justification that this unpleasant situation was unavoidable. Just watch how new unfortunate events seem to follow any negative reaction that you have. The conclusion from all of this is clear. You always find yourself on the life tracks that correspond to your energy radiation. If you let negative energy in, unpleasant things will happen in your life. If you radiate negative energy, it will return to you like a boomerang in the form of problems. The transmission. Instead of accepting a game with destructive pendulums, look for pendulums where the game will be of use to you. This means acquiring the habit of paying attention to everything that is good and positive. As soon as you see, read, or hear something good, pleasant, or reassuring, attach this to your thoughts and feel happy. Don't let bad news consume you. Instead, bring everything positive into your life, and soon you'll have more and more good news and nice opportunities. If you have been inspired by something and felt joy, but then life drags you down once again, how can you keep the positive feeling? First, remember it. Out of habit, we plunge into colorless everyday life, forgetting about the nice things in life. It then stops bringing us pleasure. This is a bad habit. Pendulums make us forget. We need to maintain the little flame of celebration in ourselves and to cherish that feeling. Simply observe how life changes for the better. Grasp for the tiniest straw of joy. Look for good signs everywhere and in everything. This is at least not a boring thing to do. You need to remember that every minute you spend with transurfing, you are consciously moving closer towards your dream, and that means you are controlling your destiny. This notion alone will instill you with serenity, confidence, and joy, and thus you'll always be on holiday. Once the feeling of being on holiday has become a habit, you will always find yourself on top of the wave of success. Be happy with everything you have in the present moment. Of course, circumstances are such that it can be difficult to feel satisfied with life. But from a practical point of view, expressing your dissatisfaction with something is unconstructive. After all, don't you really want to be on the life tracks where everything is working out perfectly? How will you ever get there if your radiation is full of discontent? The frequency of such radiation corresponds exactly to the life tracks that are bad for you. So the situation will be the opposite of what you want. Good tracks are characterized by the fact that when you are on them, you feel good, and your thoughts are filled with joy and satisfaction. Good news is not too exciting and is soon forgotten. Bad news, on the other hand, stirs up a response because it informs about a potential threat. Don't let bad news into your heart and into your life. Shut yourself off to bad news and open yourself to good news. Any positive change should be recognized and cherished. These are the forerunners of the wave of success. As soon as you hear even the smallest piece of encouraging news, don't forget about it immediately as you used to do, but do the opposite. Savor it. Talk about it. Pursue it. Think over this piece of news from all possible angles. Take joy in it. Build hypotheses on it, and expect a positive development. In this way, you will be thinking on the frequency of the wave of success, tuning into its parameters. As a result, more and more good news will come and life will get better. This is not mysticism, this is reality. You are moving to the life track that corresponds to the parameters of your thoughts. When you are on good terms with yourself and the surrounding world, you transmit harmonious emanations to the surrounding world. You create around yourself an area of harmonious vibrations where everything is turning out successfully. A positive attitude always leads to success and creation. Negativism, on the other hand, is always destructive and always aimed at devastation. For example, there's a category of people who are looking for problems, but not their solutions. They are always ready to discuss difficulties in a lively manner and find all kinds of new problems. Such people usually have trouble suggesting a real way out, because from the beginning they are tuned not to the solution, but to the search for more difficulties. Their fixation on problems brings them in abundance, but the situation remains unsolved. The readiness to look for and criticize the bad sides of things always brings corresponding fruits. A great deal of harm, but no benefit. Look around and you'll find people like this. They're not especially good people or especially bad people. They are simply sitting firmly on the hook of destructive pendulums. Most people treat any unwanted event in their lives with hostility. Usually, an unwanted event is something that is not part of our original script. The opposite is also true. We only believe something to be successful if it corresponds to our expectations. Let's say a man misses his plane and is upset about it. Little does he know that the plane is going to crash. But it can also be the other way around, when a man misses out on a fantastic opportunity because it was not part of his plan or it was inconceivable. The worse you think about the surrounding world, the worse your world gets for you. The more you get upset over your lack of success, the more failures will come your way. As a man sows, so shall he reap. If you choose to live your life with a pessimistic view on things, then every day you'll be practicing transurfing in reverse, sliding along the life track where real hell is waiting for you. So assume the opposite position. Rejoice in your misfortunes. Try to find something useful in your problems. This is always possible. A glass is not half empty, it is half full. There's a trivial saying, it's all for the best, and it works like a charm if that is what you truly believe. You have to be stubborn in maintaining your positive attitude, refusing old habits of getting upset and depressed for any reason. Every misfortune is, at the least, a lesson that makes you stronger and more experienced. Take joy in everything good that is happening in your world, and it will turn into paradise. Of course, this is an unusual way of behaving, but your goal is also unusual: to become a genie who grants wishes. You cannot achieve this using ordinary methods. Reacting positively is difficult to do at first because the old habit of reacting negatively to undesired things is strongly rooted in us. The main thing is to learn to remember that whenever an unfortunate event happens, it is a pendulum trying to hook you. As soon as you remember that, you can make a conscious choice to give away your energy to the pendulum by giving it your negative emotions, or leave it empty-handed and thereby gain victory. If you do, remember, it will be easy to let the pendulum fall through or extinguish. We always unconsciously give our energies to the pendulum. They pull us by the strings of our feelings, and our habits act as levers that set in motion the mechanism that captures our thoughts. Even after having read this chapter and having set the goal to remember the tricky game of the pendulum, you may again react negatively to the unwanted. Later, of course, you'll realize that in that moment you simply forgot and were acting unconsciously, out of habit. Nonetheless, as soon as you remember in time, the situation will be under your control. You'll think, it's you, the pendulum. Well, it's not going to be so easy for you to hook me this time. At that point, you're no longer a puppet on a string. You are free to make the conscious decision of either accepting or rejecting the pendulum. If you use this method with persistence and determination, eventually the new habit will replace the old. Meanwhile, pendulums will try to get to you in every possible way. You'll notice how, as if on purpose, a lot of annoying little nuisances will start popping up in your life. Don't despair, because the problems will be mostly petty. If you don't give up, and if you learn to remember, your victory will be very impressive, you'll see. What's more is that next time you encounter the wave of success, a pendulum won't be able to carry you away from it. The bird of happiness will stay in your hands, and to lure it in, you must give off positive energy all around you. That is, you must not only be an exclusively positive receiver, but a positive transmitter as well. As a result, the world around you will change quickly for the better. You will be able to easily glide onto more and more successful life tracks. In the end, the wave of success will come to you, sweeping you along with it, and bringing you directly to success. But don't think that transurfing is limited to gliding on the wave of success. These are only the first steps. Even more extraordinary discoveries are waiting for you. Magic rituals. To conclude this chapter, let's look at a particular example of tuning into the frequency of the wave of success. Sometimes people unknowingly try to tune into the frequency of a wave of success. For instance, in the beginning of the day, sellers are prepared to give the first customer a significant discount. They intuitively feel that the first customer is important, that it's necessary to get things going, to initiate the sale, and that once the first sale has been made, more will follow. In the language of transurfing, this means tuning into the frequency of a track for successful selling. It is difficult simply to focus your thoughts on the frequency itself, but the first customer gives hope and faith, and the tuning then happens on its own. The seller gets on the wave of successful selling and emanates thought energy with corresponding parameters. He starts to believe that his goods will sell out quickly, and that he only needs to mention this to a customer who will immediately get caught by this radiation and obediently make the purchase, himself convinced that he got lucky today. Let's take another example. Merchants often perform a peculiar magic ritual. They touch their merchandise with money. Of course, this action on its own is absolutely deprived of power, and there is no magic taking place. However, if the seller believes in the power of the ritual, his belief alone helps him tune into the frequency of successful selling. The actual tuning occurs on a subconscious level. The seller's mind is aware only of what is happening on the outside. The ritual works, but for some unknown reason. And it does work not by itself, but as a stage prop. The main part is played by the actor's thought energy. Almost every profession has a similar magic ritual for different situations. People believe in these rituals and use them successfully to tune into the frequency of successful life tracks and to get on top of the wave of success. Actually, it's not important what people believe in, whether it is in the magic quality of the ritual or in the tuning process. The important thing is the practical result. Summary. The wave of success is an accumulation of favorable tracks in the space of variations. The flow of fortunate events follows only if you have been inspired by the first success. Destructive pendulums take you away from the wave of success. Having freed yourself from pendulums, you get the freedom of choice. Receiving and transmitting negative energy, you create your own hell. Receiving and transmitting positive energy, you create your own heaven. Your thoughts always return to you like a boomerang. Pendulums won't throw you off the wave if you have the habit of remembering. The habit of remembering is formed through regular practice.